We're staying on the coast this weekend while we appease some of our land-based anglers and visit some of the most famous structures Florida has to offer. Get ready to catch a variety of species from piers and jetties on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, which starts now.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Hello, Floridians, and welcome to our Piers and Jetties Week, which is always a show I get excited about because of how many anglers from all walks of life and with any skill level are able to partake in the fun of fishing. Right, Rick?
You know what? You're absolutely right. And that's exactly what I was going to say. She took it right out of my mouth. So you know what? Let's just go to the workbench.
Well, I guess I've been here for about 10 years. What do you think?
You know, exactly.
All right, well, we have so many pier and jetty talks going on today, plus a special guest from Ozel Marina we're chatting to a little later. But let's quickly say hi to Dave Farrell at the CCA Workbench. Hi, Dave.
How y'all doing? Spent a lot of time on my feet on the pier and hopping through rocks, which I can't really much do anymore, but we're going to talk a little bit about that.
And when you do it, you're in your Converse, I'm sure.
Yeah, good pair of shoes.
Good pair of shoes. Those are Converses for Dave. All right, well, let's start in the StarTron Central West region, the mecca of pier and jetties, with Captain Jeff Page. Tell us where to go, Page.
Okay, you know that in the StarTron Central West region, we probably have the world's longest pier, at least Florida's longest pier, and in what it is, it's the old Skyway Bridge that they took all the middle sections out and distributed those, all the pilings and parts from that all over the bay, and they left both the north and south, both lanes, and reinforced them and built them up, and you can drive your car from the Bradenton side or from the St. Pete side right out to where you're going to fish, and it's a good idea, and I always tell people this. Go out one time and don't even worry about bringing any rods and reels and just see what people are using. Because at different times of year, they use different stuff. And the cool thing about pier and bridge fishing, pier and jetty fishing, is that you can catch your own bait once you get there. Cast nets, sabiki rigs, little fold-up traps, even wire hoop rings. Me and Rick were talking about that a couple weeks ago. But with the red ribbon that runs through it, and the minnows swim into the ring and get hooped. Moving southward from the Skyway, the Anna Maria Fishing Pier, Rod and Reel Pier, there's the City Pier and Rod and Reel Pier, and they stick out almost into the Gulf. And then as you go south, the Venice Fishing Pier, which is just south of the Venice Jetties, which is one of our bigger jetties in the StarTron Central West region. And then as you even get down towards Stump Pass, they have small jetties there. Now, that being said, different times of year, you're going to catch different species of fish, and you're going to use different bait. Right now, some of the best nighttime snook fishing, and you could get an occasional tarpon, are going on at the piers and the jetties. And then as we get into the fall, some of the piers that stick out into the Gulf, you can catch kingfish, big Spanish mackerel, sharks, and even tarpon. And it's a good idea, like I said, to bring what you think you might need, but then once you've been there, you're going to definitely determine what it is that you need, because most of the people fishing out on these places are pretty friendly, and they're willing to help each other out. Now, my pier picture tonight is of longtime pier expert Eric Hernandez from Sarasota, Florida, with a really nice permit he got off the pier.
All right, tell me what else. Go ahead.
Snook fishing really remains good, Rick, at night. And off the jetties, the Venice jetties, guys are catching fish up over 40 inches on live ladyfish and silver mullet on the outgoing tide with a knocker rig to keep him down out in the middle of the jetty. They're not up against the rocks. They're more out in that deeper drop of the edge. And then also early morning, the topwater bite around oyster bars and mangroves of Longbar Point, as well as Buttonwood Harbor and Rattlesnake Key. Good topwater bite, and you might get an occasional redfish mixed in with them. I've got a really nice snook pick tonight of a happy couple with a nice manatee river snook they caught with Captain Jeremy Razonka of Something Catchy Charters.
Nice.
Moving offshore, permit fishing, The near-shore artificial reefs, some of them in as close as 3 miles, have been producing some really good permit, and it's been good in the morning because we're back to those calm conditions. And the night before, you go out and dip your past crabs, or if you're lucky enough, know a place that sells them. And I suggest at least bring a dozen. Set your spot lock up on your trolling motor and stay off the reef and free line those crabs back. Maybe put a split shot on one to get it down. Got another happy couple, father and son, I believe, with Captain Jeremy Rozonka on a permit trip right out Anna Maria.
Nice.
My last species tonight, the barracuda. You know, with all this hot weather, some days it gets so calm out there and you go to those reefs and nobody wants to bite. That cuda will play on days like that, even in this 90-degree water. And the cool thing is, if you've got a few live baits, you can usually get them fired up. I suggest using wire or like a spoon or something flashy, a lipped plug, and you will catch cudas, and they put up a good fight, and the smaller ones aren't bad to eat. My last photo tonight is of a big cuda off a 3-mile nearshore reef off Anna Maria with Captain Jason Stock.
All right, thank you so much, Jeff, for starting us off. We're going to take a look at the daiquiri deck hotspots from the Central West region. He says inshore, mangrove snapper bite is really good on the old Skyway rubble around the South Tampa Bay. Live pilchards and smaller pinfish are your best bet. And then offshore, solid red snapper bite over the hard bottom areas in 150 to 200 feet of water off a new pass, Brie.
All right, well, next up is the Sea Sucker Panhandle region, where you never know what you're going to catch at the end of the pier or jetty. So let's find out some of the possibilities with Captain Pat Deneen. Hi, Pat.
Hey, Brie, I tell you what, you truly don't know what you're going to catch off our piers or jetties, because they get steep pretty quick off our coast. The Panhandle, we have plenty of jetties and piers for shore-based anglers that want to fish the Gulf. Panama City has 2 Gulf-side piers and an excellent jetty at St. Andrews Inlet. And that jetty's got 40 foot of water off the inside side of it, you know, the channel side of it. Destin Palm Beach has East Pass jetties and Oakloose Island Pier. Navarre has the longest pier on the Florida Gulf Coast, you know, sticking out into the Gulf. And Pensacola has a pier at Pensacola Beach and a jetty at the inlet. The piers and jetties, they seasonally produce pompano, cobia, tarpon, flounder, king, Spanish mackerel, and, you know, and an occasional sailfish and blackfin tunas. They're caught from the piers pretty commonly in that late winter, early spring time frame, especially the Navarre Pier. Additionally, some big sharks are landing from the piers, you know, the piers that do allow shark fishing. I feel the best fishing off the jetties and piers happens during the spring and the fall, those transitional months. Currently, the piers are catching some Spanish, some kings, bonitas, ladyfish, and blue runners. And I agree wholeheartedly with what Jeffrey said about, you know, if you're a newcomer to this whole scenario, go out there with an open mind, and most people on the piers are willing to help you out if you want to learn. So that's an awesome deal. Staying inshore, scallop season opened this past weekend in our region. I know you guys went scalloping, I guess, a week and a half ago over at Crystal Rivers. But by all reports, you know, the scallops are numerous this year, more numerous than last year. St. Joe Bay is the place to be. And plenty of folks are there picking up these tasty little shellfish. Downside is you have to get in the water to get them. The upside is the air is really hot and the water feels really good to get into it. You're going to find the scallops in 2 to 5 feet of water in the southern sections of the bay. Basically, what I'm hearing is east of Black's Island is been the honey hole. But look for those potholes, look for those sparse sand grass areas. But be sure to have a dive flag and watch your bag limits. The FWC does a very good job of monitoring this fishery, so you want to mind your P's and Q's. It's pretty busy, so you may want to use a ramp in White City or the Barge Canal, as a state park ramp and the city ramp can get pretty backed up. And there's a photo of Dana Baker from Shalimar and his daughter Emma. They went over there on opening day enjoying some scallop season, and you can tell by that little girl's face she's having a good time.
Man, that's beautiful.
And
all right.
Moving offshore, Rick, the dolphin fishing. I mean, not too far offshore, but just offshore. There have been plenty of schoolie and swinger dolphins being caught. They're holding on floating structure and suspended structure. But you can also troll lures and bait to find a group of open water fish. And if you're on structure, the fish should stay with it. But if you're on open water, keep a hook fish in the water because the others should stay nearby. And I mean, these aren't big dolphin guys, but they're pretty numerous when you find them. You may run into a gaffer, but most are of the smaller variety. So light to medium spinning tackle is perfect. Control small swim baits or dusters to find them. Once you find them, use live baits and cut bait or a jig. And then finally, offshore, the amberjack season is nearing the close. So if you want some jacks, you better go out there and get them before they close. The bigger fish are in the deeper water, so high relief spots at 200 plus feet of water is the place to find them. There are some cutoff rigs to the southwest off of Pensacola and 300 to 400 feet of water that are excellent spots for these bigger jacks. But you want to make sure you have good bait. A good live bait is going to make the difference. So take the time to have those baits in your live well before you go offshore, 30 miles to catch your amberjacks. Hardtails, mullet, ladyfish, bluefish all make great baits. A frisky bonita makes a greater bait. Fish, all of them on a slip sinker rig with long leaders. And when you hook up, keep other rods fishing because that hook fish is going to fire up the other jack. They're going to bite better once one fish is hooked up. And if you want to enter the House of Pain, here's a photo of what results if you win. A 92-pound amberjack caught this week on the charter boat Vengeance out of Destin. They had a fine catch, including a couple other jacks that rivaled this one in size, but that is sure enough one that I don't want to tangle with.
Yeah, me and you both,
Me
Pat.
too.
Thank you so much for that big amberjack picture. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Blue Water Outrigger hotspots. Remember, guys, shop BWO.com. Use the code FIFR for a 5% discount on your first purchase. Inshore, clear water and calm seas. Perfect for sight fishing. Bull reds in the surf. Crooked Island, Eglin Beaches, and Fort Pickens on the first bar. Throw live baits for your best results. And then offshore, schoolie yellowfin tunas at the Fads. Bring plenty of live bait for chum and have some poppers ready on the spinning tackle. What's so amazing is that Pat had basically 6 species if you count his 2 hot spots. He didn't even mention those things in his report.
And that AJ was worth at least 3.
Yeah.
That was huge. My back hurts. All right, the Fish Bites East region is giving us a pier and jetty show and tell coming up. But first, Dave has a little show and tell of his own at the CCA Workbench for Academy Sports and Outdoors Rings and
You don't have to bring everything, but I did. And we're going to show you everything. We're going to try to show you everything.
Some people do bring everything.
I know.
And you're just prepared for anything.
I know.
We'll be back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. Sirius XM Marine. Weather. Fish mapping. Entertainment. Penn. Let the battle begin. Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala. Shallow Sport, legendary performance. And Daiquiri Deck, food, drinks, friends.
Well, it's that time in the show where we go to the Academy Sports and Outdoors Rigs and Techniques here at the CCA Workbench. Dave,
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about what we're going to do when we get on our pier or on our jetty.
Well, it's a great place for people to start fishing and to get a family out there. You usually have a lot of room. Some of the places we're talking about, piers and some of the bridges. Jetties can be a little hard to take a family on just because of the rock situation and whatnot. But anytime you're fishing in these areas, first thing we're going to worry about is a little bit about the tide. These are all tidal zones, in the surf and around the inlets and stuff. So tide plays a big part. Try to figure out when the fish are biting in your area on what tides and try to go then. Usually high tide is best for piers and stuff like that on the coastline. Jetty can be any time. It can be a low tide bite or a high tide bite. But usually piers and stuff, you want the water to be up so you can get a lot of water underneath you when you're fishing. We want to take a lot of stuff. So nowadays we can carry backpacks and they have carts and stuff.
Right.
So when I was doing it, we put everything in 5-gallon buckets and we had to carry 2 big buckets full of stuff, which was a lot harder and it's a little dangerous, especially if you're walking around in the jetties, hopping from rock to rock. If you have a backpack, you can always try to keep one hand free.
Yeah.
One hand, so that in case you fall, you have something to, so carry 2 or 3 rods in one hand, all the rest of your stuff on your back. try to do it that way. Therefore, or have some way to maybe put your rods. Some of these backpacks have little places where you can put rods on them,
right.
And then you can carry a bait bucket, which we need to talk about as well later. But you need a really good pair of shoes, especially, you know, you think that the dock or the long pier would be a good place to go with your sandals and whatnot. It's not. There's usually people throwing dead catfish around that are laying around, stingrays, all kinds of hooks and whatnot that are laying on a dock or a pier. And if you don't have good shoes, you can get stuck, and that's never good. And they're really important when you're hopping through the rocks on the jetties. You got to have good footwear because you don't want to be slipping and sliding and cutting yourself. Like I said before, you want to take 2 rods, maybe 3. One for a bait rod, so you can use, make sure you always bring something to catch you some good bait. I like, sabiki rigs, and R&R Tackle makes the best ones. You put a little fish bites on there if they're not working by themselves, and that's
your bait and have your other rod ready to go.
Exactly. And if you're not using bait, jigs work really well. All kinds of jigs, either bucktail jigs or soft-tailed. If you're fishing for snook, obviously a big jig like the one you got there from R&R as well. They work really great for snook and even tarpon sometimes. Spoons and little gotchas work really good on the piers because you can just cast them a long way, and everything eats them, from Spanish mackerel to bluefish. A lot of the fish that hang around a pier and a surf line, we can catch them on those. So, bring a wide variety of it. And make sure you bring some wire. A little bit of wire leader. I can't tell you how many times I've gone out there and the blitz of bluefish or Spanish mackerel have come through and I don't have any wire.
Right.
And then you're just losing stuff one after another.
What about handling the fish, Dave?
Well, you want to make sure you have a really good a lipper, especially if you're on the jetties. If you're getting down close to the rocks and everything, it's good to be able to get a lipper on them and hang on to them tight.
The pier?
A pier, you want to have a nice bridge net.
That's how you land them.
Yeah, you drop this down, get it underneath the fish, and you can pull them up. You can also they have a bridge gaff actually if you want to use one of those to use to stick something that you want to keep. Make sure you have a wide variety of weights of all sizes and shapes, because you never know what's going to happen as far as the tide. You need to stay on the water. You need to stay on the bottom. Just have a lot of different stuff so that anything that comes up, because that's what the piers and jetties are about. It's whatever swims up, you're going to get a shot at.
And be prepared to make friends.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And ask questions. All right,
Yeah.
if you're in the Fish Bites East region targeting snook or tarpon, the piers and jetties are the place to be. So let's see how we're reeling them in with Captain Mike Holliday. Mike, what's up?
Hey, Brie, how are you? So, in my region, we've got the Lake Worth and Juno Beach piers, and those are beach piers where you can catch everything from snapper to snook, whiting, pompano. Out on the end of the pier, you might get a kingfish every now and then, bonitas, permit, barracudas, really a good mixed bag. And then there's these small inshore piers, like on the Jensen Beach Causeway and the Little Jim Bridge, and then the public access points at Joe's River Park and Bathtub Beach in Martin County, and Vitola Park and Bear Point in St. Lucie County. Those piers are good for flounder, snook, trout, and sand perch. The more popular spots are the jetties, which are outstanding locations to target snook, tarpon, permit, and snapper. You can throw a variety of lures like a saltwater assassin 4-inch sea shad when there's small baits around, or an Artemis shad when there's mullet and thread fins in the area. These are also great spots to float a live mullet on the outgoing tide, or fish a shrimp or sand perch in close to the rocks on the slack tide. I got a great pier shot from Emily Hanslick. She got this nice snook off the Juno Pier, and that fish ate a live sardine pitched underneath the pier.
It sure did.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The other thing we got going, the resident tarpon action is lighting up around the bridges of the Indian and St. Lucie rivers and in all the inlets right now. The bridge bite has been best at night around the Jensen Beach and Stewart Causeways, and the early morning around the Roosevelt Bridge and the 10-cent Bridge. We've got this good outgoing tide this week. That's got the crabs flowing, so either a live crab or a live mullet have been the top baits for the tarpon. In the inlets, we're seeing a better nighttime bite because that's when there's less boat traffic. The fish have been hanging around the north jetties waiting for the first schools of mullet to push down, with a mullet run. So a live mullet drifted out with the outgoing tide, or slow trolled around the jetty using the trolling motor. That's pretty much money on those tarpon. Average bridge fish is going to be like 30 to 50 pounds, where the inlet fish are larger, ranging 40 to 90 pounds. I got a photo of a real big one that Captain Ed Zayak of Jensen Beach got. That fish came on a live mullet.
All right, let's go offshore, bub.
Yeah, this has been a very consistent summer for sailfish. And we're on the tail end of the bite, which means the fish are really spread out over a large area. We're not seeing the pods of fish we had earlier in the season. It's more singles and pairs, and you'll find them, anywhere from the shallow wrecks in close to 50 feet of water on out to 400 feet of water. Fish are really spread out. They're getting ready to disappear. Look for rips, edges, weed lines, or bait schools, something that'll attract the sailfish to the area. You can put up a kite, you can drift or slow troll red fins, sardines, pilchards, or goggle eyes with good success. Or you can just troll ballyhoo with either a blue and white or a pink skirt. And the average sailfish in my region is going to be like, 30 to 50 pounds. I got a great photo. I love this photo. Marty Simmons from Fish Bites. He got that nice sailfish off of Stewart in 70 feet of water on a live redfin.
Nice. All right, what else you got for us offshore, bub?
Well, we're seeing a lot of kingfish in my region. And like the sailfish, they're really spread out. There's boats catching them on the bait schools in 30 to 40 feet of water, all the way out to 250 feet of water. The key here is bait. Find the bait schools, you'll find the kings, particularly right at first light till about 9 o'clock in the morning, and then from like 3 o'clock in the afternoon till dark. For now, the sand pile, the kingfish hole, the Vero Cove, and the offshore bar are the most consistent areas for kings because they have a lot of the bait right now. Going to target them with a live Spanish sardine, a pilchard, a threadfin, or a blue runner. Even a live mullet will work. Put them out on an R&R wire rig or a triple hook monofilament Palm Beach rig. If you're trolling, slow trolling the baits, you just want to make a lot of turns. It seems like the bites come when the bait changes direction. And the average kingfish right now is 12 to 30 pounds. I got a photo of a king that Captain Chris Britton of Port St. Lucie sent me. That king ate a live threadfin.
All right, Mike, let's get a bass report.
Yeah, water levels are high, as are water temperatures. Headwaters Lake and Fellsmere, the bite's kind of slowing down, so you got to slow down your presentation, particularly when you're fishing topwater. The key right now is to find the hydrilla mats and then look for either bait fish in the area or schooling fish in the area. I was talking to Captain Nathan Schoen of OkeechobeeBassFishing.com. He's saying the topwater bite using frogs and prop baits has been inconsistent, but when it's good, it's very, very good. And when it's not, you want to work the edges of the hydrilla with a Bass Assassin RSB worm or a Fat Job rig Senko style. The water's been dirty, so June bug or watermelon red glitter have been the more productive colors. If you can find the schooling fish, a vapor shad or a split tail shad in the darker colors, or a white spinnerbait will get the bite. They're not seeing the big numbers of fish like they see in cooler weather in headwaters, but it's still 20 fish morning, and the average fish is 2 to 3 pounds. Larger schoolie fish, and fish up to 8 pounds seem like every day.
Well, that was a very thorough report, just like always. Appreciate all your hard work each week, Mike. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the TH Marine hotspots. Mike says that inshore, the flounder on the Jensen Beach Causeway, live shrimp, pilchards, or finger mullet on a half-ounce jig head, and then offshore, blackfin tunas on Push Button Hill. Troll small feathers or chum with live pilchards. Again, one of our captains over-delivering 6 species and their total report.
Over-delivering.
Wow.
I love it. All right, well, fishing from a pier or jetty can be very productive if you are participating in the CCA Florida Star competition. Over the years, several CCA Florida tagged redfish have been captured from land-based structures, but the anglers were not registered. Just this past Saturday, actually, an angler in Delray Beach landed and released this 24-inch star tagged redfish. And you know what? If he'd been in the competition and a CCA member before his catch, he would have had the choice of a Yamaha-powered Pathfinder, Deck Cat, Carolina Skiff, or the Sea-Doo or Can-Am package. Boo! Any fish you catch from a pier or jetty can be entered in the star competition, and you still have 2 more weeks. So get registered at ccaflstar.com. It's up to you guys. It's up to you. Wah, wah. I know. We're taking a stroll onto the Real Legend Central East and Casa Vieja Southwest region. Piers and jetties coming right up. And we're also talking with a good friend from Ozel Marina. So get those nets ready and we'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Total Boat Control, Berkeley, your fish, our science, Bahio Sunglasses, blue light blocking, radically clear lenses, Sea Sucker, easy on, easy off, incredibly strong, Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventure, Kubota, together we do more, Front Runner Boats, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. And Yanmar ASV, a leader in compact equipment.
Well, as you can see, joining me is Gary Bartell from Ozel Marina. Gary, we got some really exciting news. Why don't we just go ahead and tell our viewers?
Absolutely. So, Rick, you know, for the first time, at least in my career, possibly in my lifetime, grouper season started late. Which what that does is it takes a lot of stress from those grouper that are working their way offshore inland. So what we specialize is that shallow water grouper. So it's starting September 1st this year.
Instead of when?
June 1st.
Oh, all right.
Yep. So, I mean, they're taking a break during that heat of the sun during the summer, and they're moving in. They're in the flats. They're in between the islands. So what we're doing is we're actually going out there, and a lot of times we're sight casting these grouper, big grouper too, Rick. I mean, it's real similar to tarpon fishing, red fishing. You know, you can see these fish with a good pair of lenses, or you can see them pushing. So you can cast out ahead of them. You can get them on topwater plugs. It's an excitement. It really is.
So typically you're seeing the sand hole or the crevice that you're going to be casting to. On the perfect day, you see them come up in the water column and whatnot. You're not looking at your depth recorder.
We turn our sonars off. Any little bit of ticking, I mean, Rick, we're sometimes in a foot of water. So any reduced noise is obviously going to be better. So being in that foot of water, you have to get your target first, whether it's rock piles, ledges, or the sand potholes, and you have to do a real slow approach. Sometimes we have to push pole up to them. Top water for a grouper, that's one of the most exciting bites and thrilling bites. I mean, imagine a largemouth bass on a lot of steroids.
I love it. Can you fly fish for these fish?
For the first time last year, our friends at Bahio came, and we actually successfully did a lot of catching with fly. And now I'm not a fly fisherman. That was thrilling too.
Well, it sounds like a lot of fun. Look forward to that. If you have any questions, guys, go to ozelakeemarina.com. Gary or Brie will be able to answer that for you. Is that right?
That's right. And we got plenty of guides, plenty of lodging, a little bit of everything.
All right. Sounds good. What do you think, Brie? Let's go.
That sounds like a blast and something I want to try. All right. Well, we're talking about piers and jetties this week, but in the Real Legend Central East region, we're really talking all about that bait. Let's hear it, Jim.
Well, you know, I just want to reiterate what Gary was saying. I took my birthday last year in October and went over and stayed with Gary and his wife for a couple of days. Absolutely incredible time. And I tell you what, if you ever get a chance to do it, it's a short drive, get over there. But talking about piers and jetties in the Central East region, we've got some fantastic places to fish, and we've got some quality fish right now, as long as you've got bait fish holding near those structures. So menhaden, mullet, croakers, glass minnows, they're all types of, you know, bait fish that you can check out. But the types of fish that you can catch around the jetties are even more impressive, because we get redfish, cobia, sharks, flounder, mangrove snapper, snook. I mean, that's just to name a few. The inlets that we have here in the Central East region are some of the best in the state, and we do a lot of fishing around those. Now, usually it's best to use some type of bait fish, as we were talking about. But, you know, if it's nighttime, you can throw a saltwater assassin Artemis shad, or you can throw one of those R&R swim baits. They're becoming really popular, especially for the guys down at the inlet, at Sebastian Inlet, because they look like a mullet, and yet the hook can pull away from the plastic bait, and they can do you can get a decent-sized fish on and not have him throw your bait or your lure away. So nighttime fishing is really good at the inlet as well. It's really just, you know, the main things that you have to remember about the jetties are you're standing about 15 or 20 feet above the water in some cases, so a landing net is really important to have. You want to have a landing net that picks up and also lets down your fish. If you guys and gals are out there throwing your redfish back into the water at 15 and 20 feet, it really makes them, you know, it really stuns those fish, and they become, you know, susceptible to predation by sharks, and especially by Goliath grouper throughout the summertime. So there's two key things that I want you guys to remember after that. One is most of the time the fish that you're standing or you're standing on top of the fish. The fish want to be next to the rocks or they want to be next to the pier pilings. So the farther that you cast away from those, the less likely you are to catch a fish. And I see guys every single day, they want to cast to the other side of the inlet. At night, that's okay when the fish move out and they don't hold next to those pilings and those rocks. But in the daytime, if you're casting way out there, you are so far away from the fish, you're hardly ever going to catch anything. And then two, don't crowd other anglers when you're on the pier. You know, some guys will get in a little rhythm and they'll just, they'll kind of take turns. They'll get up current and then they'll walk their baits back down current. Get back up current, walk their baits back down. If you're doing that, that's fine. But a lot of times guys are just sitting. So don't interrupt a guy who's just sitting, or teach him how to fish the way that you're fishing, because if you think that's an effective way, you can get him involved too, and everybody can catch a lot of fish. So I've got a picture here of Evan with a nice jetty snook that we caught at Canaveral the other day, and we were getting some pretty good ones. I'm looking forward to getting Brie and the gang up there here in a couple of days to do some fishing and get some of these nice big snooks. Now, as far as redfish go, we've got a bunch of redfish on the Mosquito Lagoon. Captain Mike Mann of Fat Fish Guide Service has been catching a bunch lately. He's seeing them tailing all throughout the day when it's calm. But the best thing that you can do right now is get out there with a saltwater assassin shrimp or a saltwater assassin shad, straight-tailed jerkbait, and cast around those weedy areas, because the weedy areas have a lot of bait fish in them right now. They've got pigfish, pinfish, croakers, and glass minnows, and now we're getting ready to get some finger mullets starting to push through too. So these artificials work really well, and you never know. You know, we've got 18 to 25-inch fish, but sometimes you'll get them all the way up into that 40-inch range, and those 40 inches can sneak up on you at any given time. Now, swinging offshore, our mangrove snapper has been really good in 60 to 120 feet of water. You can chum these fish up to the top and get them right behind the boat, and that makes them, whenever you slide a bait back that's got a little hook in it, you hook them 15 or 20 feet down, and then they've still got to get back down 50 or 60 feet to the rocks. So it's a better way to get those bigger fish up and catch those. Now, as far as baits go, chunk baits work great. But, you can, if you find some finger mullet or some jumbo shrimp or even some small bait fish like pilchards, the mangrove snapper will come up and eat those things pretty good. We've got 4 to 8 pound class fish right now, and some of those fish are actually getting up into the 10 and 12 pound range at times.
Hurry on the kingfish.
My last species of kingfish, 30 to 70 foot, and I'll tell you what, trolling live baits on a wire stinger rig, it's hard to beat. Get them over Chris Benson, get them over Pelican Flat, or the Pines down to the south. We've got a picture here with Don and Ronnie with a nice kingfish we put in the boat on Achean Bottom the other day.
Nice. All right, thank you. Enjoy your vacation in those mountains, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. Jim says that the Rodan Marine System hotspots are inshore redfish in the southern Mosquito Lagoon, cast unweighted shrimp or 3-inch sea shad, assassin in baby bass or salt and pepper colors to fish that are tailing in the grass, and then offshore. Mangrove snappers on the reef in 60 to 120 feet, chum and chunk with sardines, or drift a live finger mullet back in your chum slick to fish 4 to 8 pounds, just like his report, Brie.
Just like he said. All right, everything aligns perfectly in the Casa Vieja Southwest region for all of our land-based anglers. So let's see how Captain Ronnie Houston is enlightening us on the pier and jetty topic. We're all ears, Ronnie.
Well, like always, it's a pleasure representing the southwest coast of Florida. You know, one of the best things about this topic is both is a form of structure. And obviously, where there's structure, there's bait. And where there's bait, it will draw many predators of many different species. Now, also, current flows through these areas. That means there will be fish there that are held all year round, but also you're certain that fish will also migrate through these areas depending upon what time of the year it is. Now, another thing, too, is for the piers and jetties, access. It's pretty easy to get out to some of these areas. Now, even though most of our piers were damaged during Hurricane Ian last year, and still the main ones have to be rebuilt, all our passes are open, and especially the ones with rocks. Those are considered jetties. They're also holding fish like snook, snappers, jacks, ladyfish, drums, tarpon, just to name a few, are being caught. And you can catch these fish on a variety of artificial baits that can be used to catch these fish. Are going to be spoons, bucktails, soft plastic shrimp, and paddle tails, along with a variety of live baits like live pilchards, shrimp, herring, and cut baits on the bottom. We'll catch some species I mentioned. And speaking of reopening one of the piers, just in the last month, the Boquilla Pier recently opened up. There's a nice angler right there with a nice redfish fishing out the Boquilla Pier.
Nice.
Still on the inshore side, the snook. Now, it's been good summertime snook fishing to be had actually throughout the whole region. I'll give you a couple ways. Now, the water is clean on the outside beachings all the way down the coast. High tide has been best for a variety of sizes, whether you're in a boat or walking the beaches. Now, most passes lined with the rocks are also holding numbers, especially with good moving water. You want to concentrate on those areas or bridge spans and intercoastal docks and seawalls from Fort Myers Beach to Stump Pass at night. Again, here we go, the good moving water and lighted areas, as well as the outer Gulf Islands and nearshore wrecks from Goodland south down into the Florida Everglades. Now, there's great opportunity I mentioned throughout the whole region, especially to get your personal best as we're catching a lot of oversized stuff. Live pinfish, pilchards, and herring, cut baits on the bottom, or one of my favorites, large topwater walk-the-dog lures, and 4 to 6 inch swim baits. I've got a couple prime examples of some good fish. One was caught in the last couple days by yours truly, Ron Houston, using artificials. The other one was caught by Barry Bedell fishing one of the local near-shore wrecks. So some big fish there to be caught. Before I go offshore, here we go again. Naples Pickle Soldier Fishing will be coming up Saturday, September 9th. Out and support the troops, either at Hamilton Harbor or line Gordon Pass up, and watch all the troops take off. Offshore report's going to be the permit. Still having great results with the permit. Offshore fishing wrecks and artificial reefs, as long as we have moderate weather, and some of these areas are as close as 7 miles. Now, the key baits, again, are still going to be the live crabs, and there are opportunities to sight cast these fish on top in the schools, but also free-lining live crabs in and around some of this structure. You know, if you don't see the fish on top and the fish are way up the structure, you can result in using different type of leaders like 40-pound fluorocarbon if you're well off. But if you're trying to catch some of these big permit right now up to about 35 pounds near the structure, you might want to bump up to 60-pound fluorocarbon. Prime example of a nice big fish recently caught while fishing one of those nearshore wrecks. Last species is going to be the red snappers. Now, the red snappers is closing as of now on Thursday, but Goodland and Fort Myers Beach still fishing that 160-mile and beyond range, looking for areas of bait raised off the bottom, good moving water, good current has been better, and depending on the current, make sure you have a variety of weights, so the key is to be on the bottom. Also having a variety of cut baits and live baits on hand, make that long run to 160 in case the bite's slow. I'm going to alternate the baits to see what triggers the bite. Even though we're closing red snapper season on Thursday, they'll be opening on September, October, and November. So make sure you get with FWC.com. Check out the dates. You'll have plenty of opportunity for the rest of the season for the recreational guy to get out and get you a nice red snapper.
Thank you so much for all the reports. We're going to go and take a look at the Serenity bait and tackle hotspots from the Southwest region. He says inshore, redfish from Pine Island Marina to York Key, fishing high tide under the bushes using live pinfish and cut baits. And then offshore, cobias and Indian Key to Wiggins Pass at the wrecks and the artificial reefs, towers, using live baits and 5 to 8 inch swim baits. Brie.
I love Ronnie. Caught by yours truly, Ronnie Houston. Did you catch that?
I got
All right,
it.
coming up September 28th through the 30th is the Maverick Boat Group Owners Tournament out of Hawks Cay Resort in Duck Key. You don't want to miss out on this opportunity to join other owners for this fun-filled fishing tournament combined with awards, a dinner, and a raffle with fantastic prizes. It's going to be a great time, so make sure you get registered by September 1st to secure your spot. All right, the Discover Crystal River Northwest region is in the spotlight next, but not before Dave has his moment in the spotlight at the CCA Workbench. We're talking marine new products.
Look, Brie.
What?
Shoes.
I love shoes.
I know you do.
I love those shoes.
Of course you do.
I like boots even more.
She
I'll
likes
take 'em
boot
home.
scooting.
I'll take them home. Don't worry.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Have fun out there. Penn, let the battle begin. Alta Equipment Company, where uptime matters. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Discover Crystal River, Florida. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin. Best lures, period. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia.
Hey guys, I want to talk to you about cleaning up your boat and giving you a few tips that we use here in the Murphy household. So many times guys will get in their boat and they don't have boat-friendly shoes and they leave black scuff marks on the deck and also down in the floor. So the first thing that you need to consider is what type of brush you're going to need to clean those up. So Starbright makes 3 different levels of bristles. They have a soft, which would be for a new boat or maybe even washing some teak. You'll have a medium, which could be used on most fiberglass boats. It works both on the deck and the floor. And then every once in a while, you got to break out the stiff, which is the white one. Even then, sometimes those black scuffs don't work. It doesn't get it up. So I'll bring in the Ultimate Extreme Clean, and then I'll match that up with the Magic Sponge XL model. And the reason why is the XL model, I can get that whole non-skid area with one wipe. But guess what? That sometimes doesn't get that black streak. So then I'll bring in the non-skid deck cleaner. And the reason why is this will really get that scuff mark up and clean it up. But after doing that, because it's a pretty tough chemical, I might have to come in with the non-skid deck wax and put a little wax on, especially if you're doing this to your boat 3 or 4 times a week. Now, always after we wash the boat, we're gonna wipe down our boat with the Ultimate Water Absorber. And guess what? The reason why I like this is it's big as well, but when I want to put it back in, don't totally wring out your chamois. And the reason why that's important is because when you put it back in there, it'll be ready for you to use. But if you don't put the cap on, look how crisp and nasty this gets. And as you can tell, this is one I didn't take very good care of, and it's all cracked, and it's not going to serve me in any way whatsoever. So it's time to throw this one away. But if you have any questions about Starbright cleaning products, go to starbright.com and you can see a full list of things that you can use to keep your boat shiny and clean.
Well, we're here at the CCA Workbench, and it's time to troll the edge with Taco Marine products, and new products is what we talk about every week here.
I'm still thinking about fishing stories.
Oh, boy.
But anyway, we're going to talk about Gil Marine there. We got the Hydro Short Boot Camo and also the Hydro Mid Boot Glacier. These are two of Gil's brand new offshore shoes, and they're made from 100% rubber compound, which, you know, there ain't a whole lot better than just pure rubber to keep your feet warm and dry. And they have non-slip razor cut soles on them, so you can go on any surface and stick pretty much like glue. You got a neoprene lining inside that's warm and shock absorbent, and they're easy to clean on the outside, and they're easy on and easy off. They got the little tab on there to help you get them on and off. And they also have removable cushion liners inside on the soles and around the heel. So nice. These are really, really nice shoes. Gil makes really good stuff. All of their foul weather gear and stuff is top notch.
Where do we go to get them?
You go to gilmarine.com to get that. Next, we got some fish bites. These are the long-lasting Easy Crab Blue Crab. This is the brand new Blue Crab. Really cool color. They come in the 1/2 inch wide by 12 inch long strips, so you can cut them to any size. You know, you can put them on a jig or you put them on just a plain hook. They work great. You know, they use a proprietary formula with a lot of different amino acids and stuff inside of them that really make fish want to eat them. So that's the big thing. And this has the long-lasting formula. Has a cloth mesh inside that once you put it on the hook, it's not coming off. Don't try to use your teeth to get that mesh off, by the way. Blue and flesh colors. And if you want the colors to last a little longer, you can keep them in the fridge.
Yep.
But you don't really have to worry about that color because they still work just as well with the colors gone.
Right.
So go to fishbites.com to get those. Next, we got another. Let's do the other Fish Bites thing.
Okay.
We got the Fish Bites Signature Series Surf Rod, the spinning rod. This is a really nice rod. It's a entry level surf rod. It's got the Fuji Alkanite inserts for braid or mono, and the K Concept tangle free guides. Really nice components on this relatively inexpensive rod. It's got carbon blank inside, very light and responsive. It's 12 feet long, but you can cast 1 to 4 ounce weights on it and 12 to 25 pound test line. I use 15-pound braid on
I
mine.
love the fact that it's a 2-piece rod, so when it's time to go home, you can break it down.
It does help.
And you don't have to have a pickup truck or strap it to your roof.
Right.
That's beautiful.
Right, and they also have the nice shrink tube on the rear and the front foregrips, so it keeps everything nice and clean, and it comes with a 1-year warranty. And you go to fishbites.com to find that.
All right, Dave, we have a series of hooks here.
Yes, we got the Eagle Claw L2004 ELF Billfish Live and Chunk Bait hook. These are non-offset circle hooks. These were made primarily to pitch to billfish on a ballyhoo. The Billfish Foundation backs these hooks because they're perfectly round and they find their way into the corner. Have a pretty light wire, so they penetrate easily. Laser sharp, by the way, so it will penetrate the jaw of a billfish. They come in 7, 8s, 9s, and 10s. You get up to the 10 ones. You want to pitching a mackerel to a blue marlin for that little 8-aught or nothing. That'll catch a blue marlin, sailfish, everything.
The official hook of Casa Vieja Lodge.
There you go, and they catch more billfish than anybody during the year. So if they're using that hook, then it's a good hook. And
I got it in my hand.
And it is. So go out there and get you an L2004 ELF.
Remember, guys, all Eagle Claw hooks.
Non-offset, by the way.
Made in America, Denver, Colorado. So you're supporting an American-made company. Thank you.
Made in America. All right, there are a lot of different ways to catch your favorite species in the Discover Crystal River Northwest region on foot. So let's hear the how-to from Hageman. Go for it, Hag.
We got a lot of piers in my region, a lot of places you can go fish. One of the biggest piers in Florida, actually, the Sunshine Skyway Pier, and it spans most of the mouth of Tampa Bay. Always holds bait fish. You can catch bait there year-round. So with bait there, holds those predators too, looking for a meat meal. Anglers have a wide variety of species to catch from the pier: tarpon, sharks, kingfish, grippers, snappers, Spanish mackerel, sheep's head, just to name a few. With the water depth and the flow of water we get through that bay, it's a great fishery. The old bridge was actually knocked down when they took it out and scattered all along both sides of the fishing pier. So it has a great artificial reef running up and down it, which holds those fish. We've got other piers along the coast, Castor Jetty, and Clearwater Pier, just to name a few. So you don't have to have both go fishing in my region or enjoy the salt water. That's plenty of places to access the salt water in my region and get out there and take a kid fishing. Moving up the coast, Captain Lee reports a steady bite right now out of Port St. Joe. Honestly, he said it's probably one of the best August bites he's had in a long time. Plenty of redfish, best bait's been a live pinfish under a popping cork early morning. As it gets warmer, move out on the grass in that 5 to 6 foot depth range and fish a pinfish on the bottom with a Carolina rig or a larger split shot, 20 pound leader, 2-aught trocar hook, and try to use a long shank hook if you start getting bit off by sharks. And get rid of that circle hook and go to a long shank hook, and you'll keep from getting bit off. And I got a photo here from Captain Lee.
Hey, Hag, make sure you speak into the speaker. I think it's a little windy, so you're busting up a little bit.
Gotcha. Captain Rob Davenport of Big Nasty Charters out of St. Pete reports a good blackfin tuna bite right now in 90 to 110 feet of water. Over most fishes right now he's catching are over live bottom when he's bottom fishing and keeping a flat line out the back. And he's chumming a little bit to keep him fired up once he gets them going. Also, slow pitch jigs or butterfly jigs will catch them as well. And I got a photo here of a beautiful West Coast blackfin tuna.
Yes, you do. All right, one more to go. What do you got?
Captain Rob Davenport also reports a good red grouper bite right now in 140 feet to 180 feet of water over flat rock bottom. Knocker rig with a 7-aught trocar hook, 6 to 8 ounces of lead, 60 to 80 pound fluorocarbon leader has been working best. And he says squid is his go-to bait right now. And I've got a photo here from Captain Rob with a nice red grouper.
All right, bud. Thank you so much. Good report tonight. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Ozel Marina hotspots from the Northwest region. Jeff says, inshore, the redfish bite throughout the region remains strong on the top of the tide. Use cut bait under the bushes, and as the tide falls, you might want to try a Johnson 1/4 ounce gold spoon. And then offshore, groupers in 120 to 200 feet of water over the rock piles and ledges using pinfish and sardines on a standard bottom rig with an Eagle Claw 8/0 circle hook and 80-pound fluorocarbon leader.
Well, fish fans, we have a little contest going on from now until the end of our season. We want you to send us your favorite fish photos for a chance to win one of our 500th episode prints, like the one right here. All you have to do is scan that QR code you see on your screen and click the giveaway link to fill out the form. It's right there. The winner will be announced on our season finale show. So good luck and tight lines. I'm excited to see the photos you choose to send in.
I mean, how many people would want a special edition 500th episode Guy Harvey painting or print signed by Guy Harvey and remarked by Guy Harvey? I know I want one.
I want one.
All right.
All
I
right.
think we both have one, but we'd like for you guys to have one.
We do. We do want you to have one. All right. The Front Runner Boats Northeast and Yanmar ASV Keys regions are the destination of choice coming right up. So stay tuned and we'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by StarTron. Start, run, and store with StarTron. Berkeley, your fish, our science. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 35 years. Tin Cup, Mountain Whiskey. The Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. Diamond Fishing Products. Our reputation is on the line. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Strike Zone Fishing.
So, you know, my lovely,
yes.
I would tell you that, you know, a few months ago, we certainly last year had a horrific hurricane hit the West Coast.
Yes, we did.
And so the people at CCA and Tin Cup and RM Media got together to do some mangrove restoration.
Ooh.
But it was also in the month of March, so it was a little chilly. So we actually had cold fronts. So take a look at what we put together while we were all together.
Okay, let's see it.
As you can see, I'm with my good buddy Adam Miller from CCA. And Adam, we're down here in Estero Bay. Hurricane came through here in the fall, and there's a lot of devastation. But what has CCA been doing about it?
Sure, well, you know, absolutely. You look around this area, you can tell, you know, of course, the humanitarian issues, but you know, one thing we look at as an organization is habitat restoration. What are going to be the needs for shoreline stabilization, putting some of that habitat back in place? And some of the things we're looking at are mangroves and oysters, and of course, some of the nearshore and offshore reefs, but our primary focus on this area going forward is going to be mangroves, oysters, some of the inshore structure that these fish need to survive.
So we've been down here, we're with our partner Tin Cup, and the one thing that's so cool is when you have great partners, you're able to do some special projects. So we have been doing some habitat restoration today. We also thought if we were coming this far, we might as well do a little bit of fishing to get a feel for the state of the fishing and what it's like. And it seems to be, even though we've been hit with this really bad cold front, it seems to be pretty stable. The place looks really good as regards to the fishing.
Yeah, and absolutely, Nick, Rick, you nailed it. You know, it's all about the partnerships. We have RM Media here. Our friends Tin Cup came all the way down here from Colorado to join us on this project and to really get a better feel about CCA and all the things that we're doing in the world of conservation. And I'll tell you, it's a great day on the water, even though it's a little bit windy and it's a little cold. We're having a good time, and that's what it's all about. You know, working with these different partners that we have to show the lifestyle and everything that surrounds the world of fishing, and most importantly, preserving and conserving it.
Well, on behalf of all the 3 million licensed anglers in the state of Florida, RM Media and Tin Cup, we want to thank CCA for everything you guys do. You know, Brie, Mama Nature and hurricanes are a way that we kind of scrub the ocean floors and we get rid of a lot of sludge and slime that maybe is built up over the years.
Right.
Hurricanes, believe it or not, are really good for fishing. They're just devastating for people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So keep that in mind.
Everything happens for a reason, you know, but
absolutely.
That was amazing. All right, fishing from the pier and jetties in the Front Runner Boats Northeast region is not just a way to fish, it's a way of life. Right, Tommy?
That's right, Brie. It really is.
Quote, you know.
All that stuff. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. And hey, guys, I like that Tin Cup shot at the end there where it's a little chilly. That's whiskey weather right there. I'm looking forward to that coming up. But yeah, our piers and jetties here, it's a big deal for us here in the Front Runner Boats Northeast region. And, you know, there's some very popular beach fishing piers in the region. A few of them are going to be at the Jacksonville, the St. Augustine, and Flagler Beach piers. You can catch all kinds of different fish from our piers depending on the time of year. But you know what? Right now, with the pogies, the glass minnows, and even the early start to our mullet run that's migrating down the beach, it's going to be a really great time to check out those piers. They can produce some huge kingfish, some monster sharks this time of year. And, and along with those kingfish and sharks, the redfish, the tarpon, the big jacks, those are just a few of the different things that get into those pods of bait along the beach. And they're going to pass by all of those piers. So, if you're looking to catch a big fish from one of those piers, late summer right now through early fall, it's a great time to check them out. A live mullet or a pogie either on the bottom where you can free line it, that's going to be a great way to go. But, being that can be a little difficult to get some live baits from the pier, you can also do well with just about any kind of cut bait. Now, the jetty fishing, it's just about to fire up as well. With the mullet, the big and the small ones, they're just starting to show the beginnings of the fall mullet run. And I've seen quite a few small schools of mullet right along the beach and in the surf over the last week or so. And some of our jetties, they're easier to access on foot. Some of them are easier to access on foot than others, but it's a great place to catch a big fish without the need for a boat. Now, whether you're in a boat or fishing from shore, it's about to get good in those inlets. The tarpon, the sharks, the redfish, flounder, jacks, they're going to be ganging up at the inlets, busting through the schools of mullet really soon. Now, the start of the bull red season is just about to bust loose. So look for the bull redfish to be schooling up, and they're going to be looking to get in on the mullet action at those jetties. The best tide for those guys is going to be an hour or so on either side of slack tide at any of the jetties here in the region. And I've got a picture here. This is, I'm going to call him the bull red whisperer, Captain AJ Grubbs. That's a chunky bull redfish that he caught at our jetties here in St. Augustine. And if you're looking to catch one of those, give AJ a shout. He is consistently on those big boys. Now, also inshore, guys, I got to talk about tarpon again this week. Been talking about tarpon a lot this whole season. But, man, we've had an awesome tarpon season this summer. And I think we should have about another month or so of those big fish hanging around. The bigger tarpon, they're still in the pogie pods along the beach. But, I've had to make some long runs over the last couple of weeks to find some active and feeding fish. Now, sometimes they move a little bit north in the region. Sometimes they move a little bit south. And those pogie pods themselves, the bait pods, they've been pretty widespread throughout the whole region. But the tarpon, they've been on the move daily. One day last week, I found some tarpon about 10 miles north of the Volano Inlet. And the next day, they were about 15 miles south of the inlet. So what I'm getting at is fill up your gas tank and definitely give it a go, because when you do find those tarpon, they've been hungry and they've definitely been willing to play. And I've got another photo here. This is a big old tarpon that my client hooked just north of the St. Augustine Inlet while fishing a pogie pod. And the lighting was just right for that picture there.
That's a beautiful picture, right. Tommy. Tell me about the offshore fishing.
Yeah, man, with the more easterly wind we've had this week, some sailfish have been moving in pretty close. I spoke to a few of the charter captains that have been targeting the sails right around the 9-mile reef this week. For us here in the Northeast region, that's pretty dang close. They're usually out there near the stream. So everybody's been pretty stoked to get on a sailfish bite without having to go 50 miles or more offshore. Most of those sailfish, they're being caught slow trolling pogies, and a lot of the guys are just catching them as a bycatch while they're trolling for kingfish. That's a whole lot of fun when that's going on. Now, also offshore, my buddy Captain Jason Hadges, he's been on a sneaky little grouper bite the last week or so in about 120 to 140 foot. As well as a great mangrove snapper bite. Those things are still grouped up as well. But for the grouper, Jason is targeting small ledges with a big live or a cut bait. And those gags especially have been chewing. Seth told me that the bigger baits are going to be key, and also beefing up your tackle. Use some 150-pound leader and a big 8 to 12-aught circle hook. That's going to make it a lot easier to drag those groupers away from their hiding spots. And I've got one last picture here. Captain Jason Hadges from the J-Hook sent me this picture of his client with one of those big old gag groupers that they've been catching.
Man, I can't tell you how much I'd like to catch a big gag like that. That's on my bucket list, Tommy. If you can help me do that.
Come on, man.
You have a bucket list?
I do have a bucket list. Yeah, man. Big bass, a big
I can't believe there's something that's awesome. Come on, let's get it.
Make it happen.
All right, well, I got to make the Strike Zone hotspots happen, so we'll see you next week. Thank you so much, Tommy. The Northeast Strike Zone hotspots are inshore tarpon in the pogie pods along the beach. Run the beach until you find the feeding and rolling fish. Throw a half-ounce jig head with a fish bites jerkbait in white for your big fish bite, and then offshore sailfish on the nearshore reefs out to 20 miles. Look for the bait in and around the structure. Free line pogies or any live bait behind the boat, and sometimes bump trolling works best.
All right, well, the Yanmar ASB Keys region has its own take on the whole pier and jetty theme. So, Captain Stanzik, bridge the gap for us.
Oh, I can't.
Hey, everyone from the Yanmar ASB Keys region. You know, we don't really have any real piers or jetties here in the Keys, but we have other fishing, bridge fishing especially, is what we substitute for piers and jetties. So we have great bridge fishing here, and then there's some docks and longer docks and stuff. But a lot of people here come to bridge fish. So many people specifically come to bridge fish to the Keys, and Alamirada especially, that we actually have like a bridge fishing kit and a how-to. Like, we'll give you a pamphlet and a kit and a rental rod right at Bud Mary's Marina and send you to the best bridges with the best bait. And it's all like set up and ready to go because so many people walk in and want to go fish on the bridges. We have everything that's like a in and out the door deal for you. So it's kind of like humorous how many people come to fish the bridges. But it is great fishing. It's lots of fun. It's not hard. Anyone could do it. We use live shrimp in a bucket with a bubbler, some of the better baits to go with, but you can easily get frozen shrimp or squid or cut up ballyhoo. You know, those cut baits are all good too. And the fun thing about the bridges is that, you know, they can host a huge variety of fish, anything from mangrove snapper to jacks. You can catch permit and tarpon and snook off the bridges. So it's really fun to fish there. You never know what you're going to get. And a lot of the bridges locally they're set up really nice. They're safe. There's a separate walkway area and overhangs away from the traffic for people who are fishing. So really nice setup for the bridges here in the Keys.
Tell us about what else is happening.
You know, peak tarpon season and inshore is winding down. You know, the summer's coming to an end, but we do catch them year round here in the Keys. So tarpon are really fun fish to catch. You know, they put up a great fight. They pull hard. They do great jumps out of the water. It's, you know, it's quite the show if you hook into one. They're really a fish that you can target with either bait or they'll eat flies too. So there are, you know, a lot of people come and want to catch them in multiple ways. So you can bait fish for them or you can fly fish for them. So they're commonly sought after by anglers who are, you know, doing especially fly fishing for tournaments for like that prize fish. So here's a nice tarpon that was landed and released with Captain Jake Turek.
Oh, that's a cool picture. All right, let's go offshore.
Offshore, you know, we did our deep drop episode a few weeks ago, and I had a couple emails come in from people who watched it and enjoy the fishing report, and one guy sent me a picture, so we'll get into that. But I'm going to talk about deep dropping a little bit because a lot of people do that here off the Keys, and it's really a popular type of fishing here. It's really fun because you don't really know what you're going to pull up from down there. You know, it could be either a tile fish or it could be some deep water grouper. So it's kind of a guessing game, but it's fun to kind of not know. For me, anyways, I like it, like the surprise of it. So, snowy grouper and yellow edge grouper are commonly caught while we deep drop here, along with the blue line tile fish. But less commonly and more elusive, we have queen snapper and golden tile fish. So we have a lot of different deep water species, but same method for catching them all would be like a chicken rig or multiple hook setup is what's most commonly used. For bait, we'll use frozen squid or like cut up bait like barracuda. Chunks, a 5-pound average weight for electric reels, and if you want to hand crank them up, like a 1 to 2 pound weight for hand cranking, depending on the current. But here's that photo sent by the fan who watched the fishing report. His name is Ashton Taylor, and he has a nice yellow edge grouper he landed on his own boat.
Boy, you sure did. All right,
Yeah.
Tell us about the mahi, Sarah.
Mahi offshore, you know, we're still in the season here, kind of end of the summer, but there's been some good mahi around offshore. You just want to head out and look for the bird, you know, look for the signs of life, birds diving down on weed line, marine debris floating, you know, have some live pilchards, live bait set up, ready to go, and then cut bait too, like squid, work for both options. I really like mahi fishing because it's, you know, it's visual. You can run around on your boat and look for birds, and I kind of like cruising around and like looking for the fish is half the fun for me. But they are fun to catch too. You know, you make a cast at them. You can see them usually in the water. They make good runs. They'll pile on your bait. They jump out of the water. They're really pretty to take pictures with, good colors. So they're just a fun all-around fish for anyone to catch. But here's a nice-sized gaffer fish caught and landed by customers that went aboard the Gimme Jimmy charter boat.
All right. Great report this week, Sarah. We appreciate it. We're going to go and take a look at your shallow sport boats hotspots from the Florida Keys. Sarah says the snook bite has been steady in the backcountry and the park. Live pilchards are best for bait. You'll want to target snook on structure like down trees, creeks, and even maybe some mangrove islands. And then if you want to go offshore, a good number of yellowtails are being caught on the reefs. Anchor in 60 to 90 feet of water. Use lots of chum with some oats and sand. Fluorocarbon leader is good to use so that the fish won't see the line.
All right, well, let's take a look at some tournaments still going on in the Florida Keys, shall we? Let's do that. All right, first is the Florida Keys Lionfish Derby and Festival, September 7th through the 10th, ending with a final weigh-in of invasive lionfish catches, along with a public festival at Postcard Inn in Isla Mirada. Next is the Herman Lucerne Memorial Backcountry Championship, where anglers fish for 7 species starting September 15th, taking place within the boundaries of Everglades National Park, with proceeds supporting the park in Florida Bay. Then is the Key Largo Rotaries Take Stock in Children Backcountry Challenge, which allows fishing day and night from Friday, September 22nd to Sunday, the 24th, then presents awards for releases of redfish, snook, and trout in adult and junior divisions. And finally, the Ladies Let's Go Fishing University and Fishing Fever Tournament in Isla Mirada, where the ladies learn fishing skills October 14th during the Ladies Let's Go Fishing University, followed by the Fishing Fever Tournament on October 15th. For more information on Keys tournaments, go to flakeys.com. But you know what? We're checking in with one last captain in the Dynapack Southeast region, so get ready to find your favorite pier jetty and stay put for one last cast. But before we go, let's take a look at the QR code on your screen to enter into the world of all things fishing, including all of our social pages, new website, and direct access to sign up for our last live studio audience for our bass show on September 13th. Crazy. It's happening. We'll be back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. Island Lures. Tournament Tackle. The IGFA. Every fish, every water, every angler since 1939. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. Fishing for adventure. Real Legends, available at bellsflorida.com. Dynapack, your partner on the road. And Taco Marine, troll the edge.
Hey guys, today's Power Pole tip of the week is about how easy it is to install your power pole. Now this particular power pole, we used a jack plate adapter plate, which works very well because you don't have to drill any holes into your transom. So let's talk about how easy it is to install. It's real simple. We got 2 bolts that bolt to the side of the jack plate, like this T&H Marine jack plate. And then we have the 4 bolts that will actually bolt the pole to the bracket himself. Now keep in mind that power pole makes 70 different brackets. So all those guys that are in pontoons or little technical poling skiffs, we have the ability to mount these things and make it easy and fun for you. For you guys that want to save a little bit of weight on a technical poling skiff, you might want to bolt it straight to the transom like we used to do old school. If you have any questions about any installation or any power poles, just simply go to powerpole.com and those questions can be answered for you. And that's today's Power Pole tip of the week.
It's all in those details. And those legs are looking like they needed a little suntan, Mr. Rick Murphy.
It was so cold. It's always cold when we film those things.
Oh, cold. I wish it was cold. All right, there are a few reasons the Dynapack Southeast region should be on your pier and jetty fishing destination list. And Captain Jimbo Thomas is on the line to find out what those are. Hi, Jimbo.
Hey, Brie, Rick, and Dave. You know, there's plenty of fishing piers here in the Southeast region, and there's also no other place in the state that the deep water is so close to shore. Now, there used to be a lot more fishing piers in the region, but over the years, a lot of them have been beat up by hurricanes and tropical storms, so there's only a few remaining. We got Lake Worth Pier, Deerfield Beach Pier, the Pompano Pier, Angling's Pier, and the South Beach Pier. I think that's all of them. And I believe the Pompano and South Beach Piers are free, and the others charge a small fee. Not quite sure what it is. There's also good fishing around the jetties, although you do risk your life walking over those slippery rocks, but you can safely fish those jetties from a boat. Then we got the Boynton Inlet Jetty, which is basically a fishing pier. And on the south side of Oliver Inlet, there's a concrete walkway. Now, snook can be caught year-round off all the piers, along with assorted snappers, grunts, and jacks. Those are the pier mainstays. Then in the winter months, we get Spanish mackerel, bluefish, pompano, cobia, and even the occasional kingfish caught off the piers and the jetties. And most of those piers and the jetties, they hold a lot of live bait like pilchards and sardines. You can sabiki those baits up, use them for live or dead bait, but there are a lot of hangs and snags around those piers, so you want to bring along plenty of tackle like hooks, leaders, and egg sinkers. Now inshore, we got catch and release snook fishing. All of the inlets are holding lots of snook. They're being caught on all kinds of live baits, herrings, pilchards, sardines, croakers, whatever you got throughout in your part of the region. You want to drift those live baits through the cuts using a Jupiter rig, or you can bounce artificials like an R&R Flare Hawk jig or all kinds of soft plastics. You want to bounce them along the bottom on both the incoming and outgoing tides. Early mornings and evenings are when these snook are going to bite the best. Now, the nighttime snook bite around the bridge and dock-like shadow lines has also been good fishing with live and artificial bait. And also any of the beaches and mangrove shorelines has been producing some snook, especially if you got some live bait activity in the vicinity. Got a photo here of a really nice big snook, overslot looks like, caught by Wyatt. Wyatt's in the red shirt. He caught this aboard the Go Hard with Captain A.B. Raymond.
Nice.
Good for you.
Yeah. All right, let's
Now,
go offshore, Jimbo.
Moving offshore, we got the August full moon, which is one of the best times of the year to catch a wahoo, and that's coming up next week. And in the past week, there have been a fair amount of wahoos caught, and the bite should continue for at least 5 or 6 days after the moon. The wahoos, they've been caught throughout the region. Anywhere you can find some north current and blue water, that's where they're going to bite the best. Trolling has been the best. You can troll a drone spoon, a feather and a bait combo, or a sea witch and strip bait combo. You want to get your bait down deep. You can use a number 3 or 4 planer or a wire line outfit. Best depths have been anywhere from about 150 to 400 feet of water. You can troll it anywhere from 6 to 10 knots. Trolling is also a great way to locate these fish. You can troll until you get bites or find a productive depth, then put out those live baits. Best live baits have been big baits, like a big goggle eye, blue runner, or speedo. You can drift or fish those baits under the kite. And also with the kites, we like to use, or with the live baits, use a treble hook, number 3 or 4 treble hook, stinger rig, and some wire leader. And most of the fish have been in the 30-pound range, but there have been some larger ones caught as well. Got another photo here. This wahoo was caught by young angler Christian Samwell aboard the Lisa L with Captain Mike Puller. And then the dolphin fishing has been anywhere from okay to excellent, depending on how lucky you get and also who you talk to. Most of the fish are being found anywhere from like 3 to 12 miles offshore, around scattered weed lines, floaters, and under birds. And if you get lucky enough to find a big floater, you're most likely going to have a really good catch. Once you find the fish, they've been eating small live baits, little blue runners, pilchards, herrings, they're working good. If you find something floating, there's been a lot of little blue runners out there. You can sabiki those up out there offshore. And I don't know if it's just a coincidence, but it seems that the fish have definitely been biting better in the afternoon. And some of these fish have been extra large schoolies in the 7 to 10 pound range. Got another photo here, and this is a happy crew with a nice dolphin catch aboard the Cutting Edge with Captain Quentin.
Oh boy, I knew Quentin was going to have to get in here somehow, bud. Thank you so much, Jimbo. Great report. Thank you for batting clean up for us. It's time for the Black Oak LED hotspots from the southeast region. Jimbo says fish the inlets on the outgoing tides, guys, with live bait in the evening for snook and the occasional tarpon. And then offshore, fast troll or fish live baits like goggle eyes, thread fins, or small bonitas in the blue water for the August full moon. for the Wahoo, Bree.
That sounds fun. All right, anglers, it's time to take your land-based fishing knowledge to test. Get out on the nearest pier, jetty, dock, or bridge, but stay with us a little longer so we can give you a species sneak peek for next week.
Okay, I can't wait.
Can't wait. What do you think it is?
Good Indian.
All righty. Next week, we are talking all about yellowtail.
Nice.
That'll be fun. Can't wait for that little thing. Rick, did you break out the tin cup?
I did. It's
oh
time.
My gosh.
Time for some wiki.
What are we cheersing to?
We are cheersing to
Dark
just
side
a
of the moon.
Great, yeah,
Fantasy
we're cheersing to the Wahoo full
Perfect.
moon for this.
Hey, and you know what? It's my son's birthday today.
No.
Yes, he's 2, so we'll cheers to Leo.
Leo. Thank you so
need
much,
it.
Leo. You're the best.
We'll see
And
you
the dark
next
side of
week.
the
Get out there.
Bye, Leo.